G'day YouTube. So spark plugs, Pajero. I'm going to run you through how to change them. They're not as straightforward as just unplugging the leads and putting spark plugs in. You've got to take some things apart first, so run you through that. I'm going to put some Iridium spark plugs in so that they last longer. With the Iridiums you can really stretch out how many kilometres you do before changing them, which is good in this situation where there's a little bit involved. But anyway, it's not that hard. Run you through it now. You'll only need basic hand tools, and you won't need any gaskets. You can reuse all the gaskets for this project as long as you don't destroy them when you remove them. Undo the 4 engine cover bolts there, and with the engine cover off you need to undo the intake pipe for the airbox. So that's 10mm socket there on the throttle body end, and then at the airbox end there's another clamp. Also in the top of the picture here you'll see a bit of a pipe, a vacuum pipe that needs to be disconnected. There's no clamp on it, you just pull on it gently otherwise you'll break the plastic connection going into the airbox pipe. So undo that. The throttle body is 4 10mm bolts, 1 in each corner. They're pretty easy to undo. Just under the throttle body there's a pipe, just some long nose pliers to undo all these style clamps. And if you've got a rattle gun or a driver lying around, that's something that's got low torque, use that to undo all these bolts. It'll really speed up the process. Also, if you've got a container or something to put all the bolts in, it's quite handy to keep them organised because there is quite a few bolts to come out. This is on the driver's side of the car if you're in Australia or anywhere that drives on the right hand side of the road. The bottom right hand corner is an electrical connector, so undo that. And there's another clamp there that needs to be undone with some pliers and separate the pipe from the manifold. When you pull the throttle body off, just be careful not to destroy the gasket and just put that aside in your container. And just next to it, that pipe there actually has some coolant in it. So undo the clamp, pull it off gently, and then tuck it against the firewall. Just put it behind there and you won't drop all the coolant out of your car. These 3 bolts here, 2 are the same size, and then that one on the right is larger. So use the relevant sizes to undo those. And at the top behind the throttle body there's a vacuum pipe. You need to undo that by, easiest way is just get a little screwdriver and stick it in as you pull the pipe off. All the electrical connectors for your intake manifold need to be removed. So I've got quite a few slides here to show you. Anywhere there's an arrow, there's a connector. They're the 2 bolts that need to be removed as well. Easily done with a rattle gun and an extension. And on the passenger side there's a few more bolts that need to be done. They're the main bolts that are holding the manifold down onto the engine. There's 1 bolt there at the front, which I'll show you a different angle in a second. And there's also a pipe holder that you need to take the pipe out of the holder there. That's the different angle for the bolt, so you can see where it is, sort of tucked in at the front of the engine there, close to the radiator. At the back, laying across the intake manifold is an electrical harness. So all those red ones, you need to undo them, and then undo the electrical harness holders, which are the blue arrows. At the back there's a sort of a hidden bolt, 12mm. They're very close to the firewall. You cannot use a ring spanner like this. It actually doesn't fit. What you need is a rattle gun with a couple of extensions on it and a uni joint. If you do it in that configuration there, you can slip it just behind, in between the firewall and the intake, and just do it using battery power, which is much easier. There's an electrical connector there, just above where the throttle body was on the driver's side. And another electrical connection at the back near the firewall. Basically, we're going to undo all the electrical connections so we can get rid of that harness out of the way. So the holders that were in blue arrows earlier, we're going to undo those. That's another picture of them. So we need to undo all of them. And we're going to lay the harness, pull it back from the intake manifold and lay it over the battery. And that's a good time to clean it as well, because it probably never has been. So get a brush and some tire shine or something, spray it in there and scrub it off. Should come up a treat. And yeah, just lay it over, make sure it's not going to touch the battery terminals or anything. So that's the front of the engine. A couple of harness holders there at the bottom, and the one at the top is a pipe holder you need to undo. And there's electrical connection in the front left-hand corner. If you're facing the car, that needs to be undone as well. That little mini harness there at the front, we're going to do the same. We're going to peel it over towards the battery and get it out of the way. That's that pipe again. You can just undo the holder, or you can undo the pipe altogether. It's up to you. Easiest way to undo those pipes is just use a screwdriver to help wedge it off and pull the pipe at the same time, left and right, and it'll wiggle off. Same as this one here at the back. It's just near the oil filler on the passenger side. And you got two electrical connections, undo them. And I just want to talk about this earth wire back here. So 10mm bolt. If you put everything back together after doing your spark plugs and it's running rough, or you get fault codes, 9 times out of 10 it's that wire is not reconnected to the manifold and you forgot to bolt it on. So you've been warned. If that's the case, just make sure you put that earth wire back on at the end. On the driver's side, there's a little bracket holding an electrical plug, so you've got to undo that. And this is just between the throttle body and the firewall sort of thing. There's a pipe there, so you've got to undo that and separate it. Back to the passenger side, another electrical plug. So after you've done that, your manifold will be completely loose. The only thing you need to watch for, if you can't be bothered disconnecting it, is this hose here, because when you lift that up, this bracket here wants to catch on it. You could just undo it from one end. That's it, so just lift off. When you do lift the manifold off, just be careful that the gasket might want to stick to either the engine side or the manifold side, so you want it to come off in one piece so you don't have to buy another one. I mean, most cases the manifold's still in good condition, so you just gently have a look as you're lifting it up. And also beware, you definitely don't want to drop anything into the engine. So just get a rag, a couple of rags, and stuff them gently into those intake ports so that you don't drop anything unnecessarily into the engine, which would be a major deal. These are the coil pack, so you got to undo the electrical connectors off each side. There's 3 on each side, so it's obviously V6, and also there's some bolts retaining them, so you've got to take them off. And this is what they look like. They kind of pull out vertically, so once you've undone the connection, just gently wiggle them and pull them up and they'll undo from the spark plug. If you grab yourself a spark plug socket, this is the skinny type, and that's with one of the spark plugs removed. Don't be alarmed if there's a little bit of oil sort of on the top and on the contact of the spark plug. What happens is there's a bit of blow-by oil and vapor that goes through the tops of the rocker covers, and in this red arrow here there is a small gap. If those aren't sealing properly, the oil tends to pool up at the head of the spark plug. So when you pull the spark plug out, it might be oily, but don't worry too much about it, it's all good. Just install your new spark plugs by undoing them and pulling them out using a magnet tool, and put your new spark plugs in, and then put everything back together in reverse order of what I just showed you. This is just a couple of pictures there. So yeah, you want to put rags in those intake ports for sure. Otherwise, if you drop a bolt down one of the engine ports, you're in for a bad time. Anyway, there wasn't a video on this that I could see that was sort of well explained and showed all the disconnection of the electrical harnesses and bolts. So good luck. It's worth doing it yourself. You'll save some money. Thanks for watching.